Hi fellow traders, I hope everybody had a good day today. I am back from doing my civic duty. It was a crazy 3 days, but came back, tried to get back in the saddle, but just kind of slipped off a couple times, but that's kind of to be expected. I was a little bit anxious, um, just a little bit of everything, but kept losses within the right parameters and ended the day pretty good. Not pretty good. Ended the day not being red, put it that way. That's the best thing. I missed doing our sneak peek Wednesday, so we will pick that up next Wednesday. Everything should be back to normal next week, so looking forward to that. So let's take a look at the trades I made today. Alright, the first trade that I took was on ASML. This was a 5-minute opening range breakdown attempt, and the stock was moving up. It's been making its 52-week highs every day. Let's take a look at the daily chart here, the last couple of days. And you can see this morning, we were right up here, and we were still, moving in position to gap up. So I was thinking long, and as the day started progressing, the morning started progressing, we started pulling back. And I was like, well, maybe we're going to pull back and test this red to green. And if anything, we will pull back. I can take it off here and look to catch the bounce and see if we're going to break out to new highs. Well, when it gapped up, when it opened on the gap up, I probably shouldn't have been looking to short it, but I wasn't looking to short it for a long term. I was looking for the move back down here. And once we got this candle in, and then this candle opened and confirmed the move below the VWAP, I jumped in. I waited till that 2-minute candle closed, and I jumped in. And I got in, let's see, at 9:37. I jumped in, and we were doing well. I mean, we were getting ready to close below the 5-minute open range low. I thought we would get a quick move down to the 200. I wasn't even going to scale out. I was going to take it all off here and then look to catch a bounce. Had it all planned out, but the next candle, gave me a little bit of concern, but we still closed right below this opening range low. Then the next candle opened, and so technically we were still in play. We were below all the moving averages and everything, so technically we were still in play. And next candle opened above VWAP and pushed straight up. Went ahead and stopped me out. So only a $60 loss. I kept my, my losses in check, but this thing never looked back. So, in hindsight, you would say, why would I short a stock gapping up? And I'm asking myself the same question. But if I saw this set up tomorrow, I would still take the same trade. Because, 6 or 7 out of 10 times, this trade does work. So I didn't really feel bad about missing this trade or, get stopped out on this. That was no big deal. So I was still, engaged and ready to go. So I really should have been keeping my eye on AAOI because this sold off at the open. I don't have any shares to short, but we had a nice bounce here. And knowing AAOI, it doesn't respect moving averages at all. Very little respect for them. So I was I really could have caught the bounce on this, or could have caught a pullback, here. But I missed all of this, and I waited, and I got back in on this third pullback. Now, most of the time, you don't get in on the third pullback. You get in on the first. The second is okay. The third, you just typically don't get in. So I got in it anyway and made a nice move. Solid trade. Solid trade. So we got another pullback. And so, hell, I'm going to try pullback number 4. But this one didn't work. Ended up getting stopped out. And just kind of watched this. And we kind of held. No, okay. This is where I got back in. Thought I got in over here. But I got right back in on this candle. Don't ask me why. Must have been a revenge trade. I really don't know. But I was looking for it to recover, come back and test 52-week high again, possibly make a new one. Because this was a 52-week high. So I got in, and it just could not get over the hump. It just couldn't. It couldn't get over the high this last little pop here, and ended up selling off. And like a stubborn mule, I just kept holding on to this thing, holding on to this thing, holding on to this thing. And finally I dumped it, once we lost all of this. And we went red on the day. Just stubborn. No way I should have had, $180 loss on this. But holding this was just plain stubborn and plain stupid. So I had a mixed morning, so to speak. Now I was down pretty good. I wasn't at my max loss, but I never did find another stock to trade. There was nothing really setting up for me. Typical summer day, just kind of slowed down into the close. So I started thinking, I said I was going to try these earnings trades this week, but I got stuck Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, so I couldn't trade it. So I was looking today at the stocks that were posting earnings after close, and right before the close, in chat, I was trying. I know there was only a handful of people still there listening, but I was trying to explain what I was looking for. And the last couple of weeks on the retail stocks, when they report earnings, they tank. And they give a good quick 1 or 2 candle tank, multi-point, and then they kind of try to recover a little bit. Sometimes they'll pop up and then sell off. So, I was looking at a couple of retail stocks. So SKX looked like it fit the bill. Okay, and what I was looking for, and what I've seen over the last month, is going into the close. Sometimes they'll run the stock up, and when it comes down, it stays below the VWAP, the 20 and everything, and it kind of goes red on the day. So that's kind of what I was looking for. And so everything was setting up just fine for the washout when earnings is released. So I waited right before close. I got in and just waited for them to announce earnings. Once they announced it, we got this huge gap down. I took half off, right at that gap down. And then I took half off again once we got around 25. It had run down to like 25, and then came back up. So I went ahead and took it off because I wasn't quick. You know, you can't, I don't use hotkeys, and you can't use market orders after market. So, you know, I had to do a limit order and really didn't catch it to up here, which was still solid. You know, I thought we were going to bounce here anyway. But then it went all the way back down through 2420s. And I was like, man, I wish I had kept it on. You know, that was a whole nother point. But the thing is, this did exactly what all these other stocks have been doing. Now, what's different about this one is that the conference call started, and evidently, you know, they were explaining their earnings per share loss, and I guess what the people were listening to, they liked. Because I thought since we had this big gap down, we were going to have big profit taking. And I thought that's what this candle is. And then here, we're going to start to move down again. And I almost got in a couple hundred shares just to hold overnight. But, you know, I was like, nah, this was what I wanted. You know, I locked in $415. You know, fine. And this happened, let's see, I got short at 1551. I took my first cover at 1606.04. The next one was about 35 seconds later. That's how fast this thing washed down. I mean, it was nice. Just kind of the way I had planned it. And then, you know, some people would say, oh, you guessed. You know, it could have gone either way. Yeah, but based on what the retail sector had been doing and all of the other stocks that I had followed over the last month, I had a pretty good indication that this was going to do what I wanted it to do. On the other stock I looked at was eBay. And this is what I've seen them do. You know, this one stayed above the red to green line. It didn't really lose it, but it kind of stayed above it. But we couldn't push over the VWAP or anything. So to me, this was going to open. You know, this was going to sell off as well. But this is another thing that I had seen that I would be prepared for, which is why I only went in 200 shares. Because these can pop up, and if it got too far, it would have to stop me out. But this didn't pop up that far before it came back, and earnings was announced, and we had a big sell-off. You know, these candles were a little bit crazier, but we had the sell-off. We had the potential to make profit on this. And this is what I've been seeing time and time again on retail stocks. And you see on this one, you need to do that. On this one, we tried to recover a little bit, but we stayed below the 20, and we just kept coming in. You know, this is kind of what I expected to see on SKX. I expected to see this one big red green candle and then the sell-off to continue back down. I knew it wouldn't get back down to here, but I figured we'd at least get back down in the mid 25s. But the initial move, they did exactly what I had anticipated, and you know, ended up helping me have a not red day. So that was the way my day ended. How many of these I'm going to take will be to be determined. The setup, like everything else, the setup has to be right. For me to take it, it has to be right. And you see, I chose this one over eBay because this wasn't as clean a setup. You know, we tried to get below here, but we couldn't hold. This one, we did hold. We stayed below it. So that was the setup. So one more day, we got Friday. Again, I'm going to be a little bit more selective. I did take risk trading AAOI, you know, based on the whole week. I just kind of let that influence what I was doing and just kind of got myself in a bind there. But, you know, looking for some decent moves in the morning, and then we'll just sit back and sit tight and wait and see what the afternoon brings. That's all we can do. So I hope you guys have a great evening and a great night, and I will catch you guys tomorrow in chat.